Well, he was very, Larry, let me talk a little bit about Larry, because I really feel so blessed and grateful that I've had two masters, like masters in my life. And I still, to this day, even though they're in the other room, feel very much guided by them and inspired by their work in the world, and also their ability to trust me. Like, they just gave me, I was like, wow, how did I become so, I felt so worthy, and that's something that took a long time. And I want all of us to feel that way, that you have this worthiness within you and this relationship to your practice that's, divinely inspired. But anyway, Larry came from an East Coast Jewish family. Some of you are Jewish, so that's kind of exciting. His father was German and his mother was Russian. And he grew up in Delaware. I have some pictures of him in his bat mitzvah thing. So his Jewish upbringing was really important to him and to his family. And when he was 17, his father opened the door and said, "Whatever you're looking for is out there." So Larry said, that was the moment I just walked out the door. And he bought a ticket to Amsterdam and then took a train to Afghanistan and India, and kind of went on this whole journey for a few years. And during that time, he met gurus, he lived in ashrams. He just had this life experience that his father on some level was right. What you're looking for is out there, and encouraged him to just make a move. He came back to the States, I think when he was around 20, 21, so he was gone for a few years, and when he came back, he was wearing all white. And his family thought he had gone insane. His mother was like, "Look what you did to my son, what happened here, what is going on?" He was wanting to tend in the garden and, stand on his head. He wanted to be a yogi. At one point, there's this great story about how all his aunts came over and he was laying in shavasana and they thought he was dead. So, he was a seeker, a searcher. He was a very spiritual man, and even at that young age. But at some point, I think his family convinced him that he was going to need to make money and live in the world and, live in the real world. A lot of people that live in the real world like to tell you what it's about. When you go deeper into these practices, you realize that only love is real. So what we think of as the real world is actually an illusion and is not real. What's real is love. So that's just how nature is. So, but Larry knew that on some level. But he was young and convinced anyway that it was time for him. His father was getting sick, and he had sisters and a mother and needed to kind of take care of them. So he moved to Texas, where, in those days we're talking mid-70s. The money that's where you go to make money. So he got into things like real estate and selling life insurance, things like that. And he made a lot of money. So he brought his family from Delaware. His father at some point had passed away. And he married a woman. He bought houses. He did all of that stuff. He played tennis. He did the stuff you're supposed to do in the real world. But I guess for looking at it from the outside, I think he always had this yearning in his heart for yoga. And by the time he got to 30, he was on a trip in Jamaica with some friends. I think I shared this story with you, where he saw the man on the rock. And he was so inspired by the movement because, I'm telling you, back in the day, his experience of yoga was like ashram. Living in ashrams, gardens, meditation, chanting, very much aligned to the Siddha Yoga tradition. The Siddha Yogis are Muktananda, now Guru Maya. We have pictures. We love Guru Maya. I'll bring some pictures for you. But in that, so lots of chanting, very spiritual. Those, remember the book I showed you called Courage and Contentment by Guru Maya? Yeah, We did it up on the deck. It's okay. It was a while ago. But anyway, there's a beautiful book that she wrote and a lot of her writings, and it's all about supreme consciousness. So, Guru Maya.
Siddha Foundation, SIDDHA.
Yeah, if you want more information on this lineage, it's the Siddha Yoga, SIDDHA.
My mother goes to that ashram here in Mexico. Guru Maya.
Yeah. She has a big Mexican.
And I went when I was a little girl to
Wow.
New York.
Yeah.
And I met her, yeah.
Wow. That's probably why you're so enlightened. You got Shaktipat. Yeah.
He gave me my spiritual name and everything.
Oh, beautiful. What is it?
It's something about the moon. I have it in books in my
Wow. See how things, another It's Yoga moment. And she comes back full circle because we really bow to that tradition. I certainly do, and I know Larry did. We always had the gurus up in our house, and when he passed, a beautiful friend of ours, Rob Trudinger, gave me a picture of Muktananda and Vivekananda together that my son broke, but we're going to put it back together. That travels with us. It travels with us because I just like them around me, and I just love those gurus. But it's supreme consciousness. So when he saw the man on the rock doing Ashtanga yoga, Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga, and that dynamic movement, he was really attracted to that, but didn't believe that it was yoga. How could that be yoga? I thought yoga was, like that. So he had this whole kind of background to it. So when Ashtanga came into it, I think he was always very much still aligned to the deeper levels of the philosophy of yoga. And I'll tell you from my experience as a student in his circles, my favorite parts of the training were when Larry was just talking about love and life and spirit and yoga and kind of processing with students and things like that. And I always felt so excited about that because I thought Larry was so brave to talk about that. I was like, I just didn't know that that's what you did. I thought you kept all that to yourself, and we were all kind of these separated beings. And he kept saying, we're all in this together, we're all one family, brothers and sisters of the light. And he had such a funny way of presenting it because he was a funny guy. And he was kind of this like authentic person. And I loved that about Larry. Like, he wasn't trying to be a yoga teacher. He was just this Jewish guy from the East Coast who was very eccentric and who loved yoga. And people were very attracted to that about him because he was just himself. And I think that's why we spend so much time with you guys in this context, because we just want you to be yourself. You don't have to turn into a yoga teacher. That would actually be not a good idea, if I could say that. You don't have to be a yoga teacher. You just have to be yourself. So when Larry asked that man on the rock, how do I get some of this Ashtanga yoga? Because he realized that's what he finally, this is what I want, love and health, late in my life. This is what I want. And this guy's telling me Ashtanga yoga is going to get me there. And this man told him that the teacher was coming from India to Austin, Texas the following week, which was where Larry lived, which is another chill, which is why he always said, believe in It's Yoga moments. Because he could have gone, Patthabi, he was speaking about Patthabi, he could have gone anywhere in the United States, but happened to be going to Austin, Texas, which was where Larry lived at the time. So he gets the contact, he looks in the yellow pages. I don't know if you have the yellow pages, but it's so old school that to the day that Larry passed, he was still advertising in the yellow pages because of this connection, because it was some kind of, he just wanted, it was superstitious, he just wanted to keep paying the yellow pages because he was so grateful. So he looked up, it's Stan and Johanna Hefner, who are still teaching.